We were promised a blue car. We were teased with blue overalls and pictures of blue cars Ferrari has raced in the past in Formula One and in hypercars and in road races and stuff like that. And they're like, hey, it's going to be blue. Pictures started surfacing of a blue car. And, well, if you're watching on Twitch, Twitter, or YouTube, this is what we got. It's basically just your normal Ferrari car with some streaks of blue on the side pods, the halo, and the front and back wing.
This is the Ferrari brought to you by Hewlett-Packard.
Yeah.
We're blue.
How could you tell that HP was a sponsor for this, Nick? It's only on there 145 times.
If only I had two working eyes.
And speaking of getting the party started.
For the victory lap, though. They ain't never seen nothing like this before. Lit the room when I came through the front door. Ask me if I stress overcome, what for? Train on the trees, please walk my sycamore. Touch burning sands, cross lands and stormy shore seasons in the year, yeah. Switch gears, with keeping haters in the rear. At the blood, sweat and tears and my goal so near. I see my victory so clear. I see my victory so clear. It's a day, we break through. 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 It's a day, we break through.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 32 of the Gridiron Podcast, the only podcast in the world that exclusively covers our favorite two topics. That would be Formula One and football. All kinds of football. We don't discriminate. We might even talk some Premier League tonight. We won't, but that's called a tease, folks. I am Sean Barie, and as always, holding down the fort in the land, Cleveland, Ohio, it's Nick Shook. And, of course, from Kimberly, British Columbia, it's our Canadian queen, Katie Caldwell. Guys, how you doing?
We're doing our best, Sean.
Wow. Okay. I'm carrying this thing tonight. I can tell.
I have nothing to add.
Sean took some uppers before the podcast, and he's just going to go all the way through.
I could use an upper right now, let me tell you.
Doesn't that just kind of feel like, do you guys also know a lot of people that are just really in it right now? Like, not to get off on a negative note, but I don't know. I feel like everyone right now is just kind of doing their best, myself included. Good Lord.
I don't know what Mercury is up to right now, but I'd be suspicious.
It's in Gatorade again, isn't it?
Oh. Actually, I think it's in all sport at the moment.
It's in Surge.
Well, I did ask how you were doing, but it seems like we got that out of the way pretty quick.
How are you doing?
I'm hanging in there. See, this is no. You're not supposed to turn around on me and ask how I'm doing. I ask how you're doing. That's how we start this podcast. My dog.
Who made you the captain of checking on how we're doing? This is a communal thing.
I've got the stripes right here on my sleeve. Captain Sean. My dog is silently judging me. Oh my God! If you could see his face right now, he is judging me from his bed off to the right of my podcast studio here. We got a good show for you guys tonight because we had a big week last week in the NFL. That being the NFL draft. Nick and I both worked it. Katie watched it from home or from the bar, either or. And then we also have the Miami Grand Prix to talk about. We will not be attending this year, Nick. But we can still talk about it. We can still lend our experiences of the past and talk about what a fun race it might be. It's okay. It's for a good cause. Tell your goddaughter, I tell your goddaughter I forgive her.
She's my niece and my goddaughter. She's having her first communion this weekend. I have to be there. I cannot fly to Miami for the race. And that just reminded me of how sad. I mean, I'm happy to be there to support her. Don't get me wrong, but it does make me sad because that would have been an opportunity.
I was going to say, your family's going to hear this and be like, dude, what the hell?
They don't listen.
Wow. All right, let's start off in the NFL. The draft just wrapped up in Detroit, Michigan. First note I had was 3-day draft, 700,000 people. That's more than you get in a weekend at a Formula One race. Any Formula One race across the entire world.
Didn't they break that in Miami when we went that year? Wasn't it like 900 or something crazy like that? Or
no, it was 90.
Oh, well,
yeah.
Math has never been my strong suit. So
one decimal point off there, Nick.
Close, Nick. Close.
Close. I think the records are in like the 400s. I know Australia gets 400. Britain usually gets close to 500. US in Austin usually cracks 390, 400. But yeah, this was a huge event in Detroit. Lions fans showed out, and they should. They have something to be proud of in their football team once again. But we are going to lean on you for this one, Nick, because you covered all 3 days of the draft. So I'm going to ask you for your winners and your losers.
All right. First up, winners. The Pittsburgh Steelers, Sean. I'm sure that warms your heart. Omar Khan destroyed.
Hold on. I would like to read an excerpt from your recent article about the Steelers draft. You gave them an A, the best grade in any team in the AFC North, and you finished your little excerpt with, "Well done, Omar Khan."
Yep, because he did a great job.
Anyway, continue.
He rebuilt the quarterback room with, Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. That was a good first step. He went and added additional talent at linebacker. He brought in Patrick Queen to supplement Elandon Roberts and Cole Holcomb. Then he goes into the draft and he says, screw it. I know where football games are won, in the trenches. And they went and got Troy Fatanu from Washington. That's going to be their starting left tackle, hopefully for years to come. They get Zach Frazier, the center from West Virginia. That should be their starting center. That solves that problem. They get Mason McCormick. He can be the future left guard after Isaac Seumalo moves on, whenever his contract ends. Boom, 3 spots right there in the trenches in the offensive line addressed. And it has been a big issue for them in recent years. So I'm glad that Omar Khan admitted that they needed help there and then drafted accordingly. But that's just where he began, because then he went to linebacker and he got Peyton Wilson. And there's concerns about his knee and whether or not it has an ACL or not. But the kid is fast. He's a rocket. And I see him as a third down blitzer, a la Troy Polamalu, except one less level of the defense up, and could make a big difference. He's got sideline to sideline speed. He's not the biggest guy, but I think he's going to be a difference maker for the Steelers. He's going to fit in really well with their style and what you Steeler fans love in linebackers, which is tough, gritty guys. And then you go back to the offensive side, and you get Michigan receiver Roman Wilson, a guy who was a thorn in the side of Ohio State and many other opponents at Michigan over the last few years. He's going to be the same in the NFL with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's the perfect complement to George Pickens. They moved on from Deontay Johnson, and I think personally, maybe the talent level isn't as high in terms of potential, but I think the production will outweigh what Deontay Johnson did. Fills out that receiving core. Really love it. And from there, it was depth picks, but he just nailed the draft. I mean, he nailed it. He addressed all these positions of need. He combined it with a great free agent class and a great offseason and did a fantastic job. Well deserving of an A. Pittsburgh Steelers are my first winner of the day. Sean, how did you feel when you watched them draft?
I was not as excited as I was last year, because I think this is 2 drafts in a row that Omar Khan has done a really good job and has gotten really solid players that can impact the team right now. But last year you had those guys that were going to come in and make an instant impact, whether it be Nick Herbig, or is it Nate Herbig?
Nate,
no, the younger Herbig. Nate Herbig, who kind of reminded me of a mini TJ Watt. He came in and played some solid minutes. He had a defensive lineman that was able to slot in there. Broderick Jones, he's going to be the left guard of the future for the Steelers. I mean, he was able to find a lot of guys, as well as Joey Porter Jr., let's not forget, who was, the rookie of the year for the Steelers. But that was more of a flashy one. This was, hey, I'm going to rebuild the line now. Lineman picks aren't sexy. They never have been. They never will be.
Agree to disagree.
Well, hold on. I was going to say, unless your name is Nick
you.
Shook, then you salivate over that. But what that means to me is that there is a plan in place, and they are executing it to a T. They have their plan. They are going to get their guys, and they got the best guys available at those positions. I wanted them to draft Graham Barton, who actually came down here to Tampa Bay. Bucks got him. But at the same time, I thought if you can't get one of those top centers in round 1, you can definitely probably get a guy like, and I thought Zach Frazier in round 2, and boom, he was sitting right there. I think that's exactly what Omar Khan was waiting for. My question, Nick, is does this now mean with the draft of Roman Wilson that the Steelers still need to go get that big play receiver that everyone keeps linking them to, whether it be Braden Ayuk? Yeah. Brandon Ayuk or Deebo Samuel,
nice, Katie,
or Justin Jefferson. Does that mean they need to go get a guy like that now, or can they rest with, Pat Freiermuth, George Pickens, Calvin Austin, and now Roman Wilson? And let's not forget the other Jefferson, Van Jefferson.
I wouldn't expect too much from Van Jefferson because he's inconsistent.
I know,
but
I know.
Everybody loves a shiny toy. Everybody wants a receiver in the draft. Everybody wants their team to go sign a receiver in the offseason. I think they're perfectly fine with what they have now because of Roman Wilson. I mean, you look at your top 3 and your George Pickens, your Van Jefferson, your Roman Wilson. Maybe you could fit somebody in there into the Van Jefferson role. But you also have Denzel Mims and Calvin Austin and Quez Watkins on this roster. I would expect them to make a play for one more guy in the offseason. Not exactly sure who it's going to be. I don't think that they're necessarily done there. It would have been nice to still have Allen Robinson around, I think, but that's life in the NFL. There's roster turnover from year to year. I think that they'll be fine. I think that you're going to come to love Roman Wilson, and he's going to fit in perfectly well. And yeah, you'd like to have a third option that's better than Van Jefferson, but I think you'll be okay. The biggest thing, Sean, is that you don't have to deal with Kenny Pickett anymore. Kenny Pickett's gone, and Russell Wilson's there to start, and we'll see when Justin Fields takes the field. It's that simple. So it starts at quarterback, but I think they did a good job of insulating him with talent and guys with potential around them. Now, the offensive line, the rebuild is not going to happen, overnight. It's not going to be, right out of the box perfect, but I like that they invested in it. And this is the season of optimism. When you look at teams on paper and you think, God, they got so much better. Every team pretty much got better for the most part. We'll get to some teams that I disagree with the way they approach the draft. But I think you should be excited. I think that the Steelers have drafted according to their identity, and they're getting back to who the Steelers are. And I commend Mike Tomlin and Omar Khan for, being aggressive in that regard and saying, we're done with the BS. We're done with the nonsense. We're done with, the Deontay Johnson being upset and taking plays off, or even George Pickens, but George Pickens' talent, makes him worth keeping. So feel very good about them. Let's get over to a loser, Sean. And my first loser of the day is going to be, and they're already in my mentions, so I've already heard you, and I'm sure some of you are watching right now, and you can get in the chat and come after me if you want, but it's the Buffalo Bills. And the reason that it's the Buffalo Bills is because you traded out with Kansas City. Now, it's not about who you picked necessarily. Yes. I don't care that you picked Keon Coleman with the first pick of day 2. It's about the fact that you gave Kansas City an opportunity to jump up and take the speed demon that they wanted. I'm not going to say he's Tyreek Hill, but he's a burner and he's a separator and he's a guy that can run through defenses. And it just blows my mind that a team that you have not been able to get past over the last 3 to 4 years, you are going to trade with them and then hand them the opportunity to take a guy who is potentially going to terrorize you. He could be John Ross 2.0. He could. But as it stands right now, I wouldn't even give them the opportunity. Not saying that I would draft Worthy just to keep him away from the Chiefs, but I would not trade with them to allow them to do that. And, the Keon Coleman pick, we'll see. Didn't run a fast 40, has good college tape, kind of tailed off in the back end of his senior season at Florida State. But overall, not thrilled with what they did at receiver, not in such a deep receiver class. And I'm really not thrilled with the fact that they gave the Chiefs an opportunity to draft Xavier Worthy. I just think it's going to be a mistake that they're going to pay for in the future. And we'll see if the other guys pan out. Some of the other guys that were drafted around Worthy that the Bills traded out of that position that they could have taken, we'll see if they pan out. And that'll obviously be held in regard when they're judged on how they went about this, because I actually think they made a nice pick in Cole Bishop, the safety out of Utah. And then the rest of the draft, they added some guys in some places that they needed. But man, I just cannot get over the fact that you gave Xavier Worthy to the Chiefs.
It could have been any other team. It just feels like it's their final boss that they just can't get by again and again. And like you said, Nick, it's like, why are you giving them exactly what they want? Why are you helping facilitate that? Although you mentioned Keon Coleman, he is just such a delight. Whatever the end numbers end up being, if you have not seen press conferences and video of this man, there is no one I'm cheering harder for in the NFL next year. He's already my favorite player in the NFL and hasn't taken a snap.
What he likes shopping for bargains.
Human.
He likes a good bargain.
Deal, man. He loves a good deal. Nick, I agree with you, though. It's not that in their GM, Buffalo's GM was even quoted as saying after the draft, it's not like we traded the player to Kansas City. No, but Nick, like you said, you gave them the chance. Like there's only a couple of people that you cannot help, that you cannot actively help beat you. That's your in-division rivals, and then your main rival that you're going to see at some point in the playoffs or in the Super Bowl. You can't help them, okay? That's exactly what Buffalo did. They have not been able to get past the just behemoth that is Kansas City. And to be fair, no one has over the past couple of years. But at the same time,
they've gotten the closest, that team, it feels like.
Yeah, you've come the closest, unless you're Cincinnati. But like Buffalo was supposed to be that team. It was supposed to be Josh Allen dethroning Patrick Mahomes. You're not helping him at all by giving Kansas City the option. And that's what I think people have a problem with, like you said, Nick.
Yeah, I got an issue with that. We'll see how it pans out, but I don't feel good about it right now. Big B chimed in when we were talking about where Katie was and where she may have watched the draft, and he said, the bar is her home?
Fair question, man. Fair question.
You can build a bar anywhere you are if you just believe in yourself, Big B.
There's no zoning laws in Canada. Like, that's the weird thing. It's like Florida in a sense. No zoning laws.
It's another thing I didn't know. All right, let's go back to yeah. Thank you, Big B. We appreciate you and all your comments in this chat. Another winner, Sean. Let's go to the Philadelphia Eagles. Keep it in the Keystone State. How many times are we going to do this? How many times are we going to let the Eagles just
same conversation as last year?
Trip and fall into good talent, like top talent. Oh, what do we do? Let's let the cornerback slide because we decided to spend the first 14 picks on offensive players.
I know. Well,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, everyone was helped in this draft. Everyone that didn't need a quarterback was infinitely helped in this draft because 6 of them went in the first 12 picks. That meant that arguably the best talent in the draft fell back into the teens. So, like, I get what you're saying, but, like, a lot of people were helped. But you're right. They were able to rebuild their defensive secondary in the first 2 picks.
Yeah, we talked about that in the last show. We said, there's going to be a lot of blue chip talent that's going to be available in the teens and the 20s because of this run on quarterbacks. Did we think that there were going to be 6 quarterbacks taken in the first 12 picks? No, I didn't think Bo Nix would be a first round pick at 12, but there he was, went to Denver. And I actually love that pick, but it allowed a lot of other teams to restock with players that they wouldn't have had a shot at getting in previous drafts. And the Eagles did that with Quinyon Mitchell at 22 overall. I actually thought Terrion Arnold was the better fit for them because he just felt like an Eagles corner to me, the way that he ran his drills and everything else. He just felt like an Eagles corner. He's very, he's like diplomatic, like the way that he commands a press conference is incredible, but Detroit got him, and that's good for them because they needed a corner. But Mitchell going to the Eagles gives them a speedster, a guy who is explosive, can close in the ball. Untapped potential. I think once he gets to the NFL and actually develops with NFL coaching, he's going to be even better than we realize. And then Cooper DeJean's out there in the second round and no one's taking him. And the Eagles are just like, yeah, we'll take him. Yeah, we'll take that white corner from Iowa who's a dynamite return man and also a good cornerback. Yeah, we'll take him. Sure. Why not? Why not bolster our secondary more, especially since we're considering a future without James Bradbury and Darius Slay. Bradbury's still under contract, but seems like Slay might be headed out, if not this year, next year, and Bradbury maybe the year after that. So to get them both restocking right away, just like they did with the defensive line with the Georgia guys in the last couple of years. I mean, Howie Roseman just continues to crush the draft. He just crushes the draft. They get Jalix Hunt, edge rusher in the 3rd round. That's another option, especially after they got rid of Hassan Reddick. They get Will Shipley, the running back. He can spell Saquon Barkley. I mean, it's just and they go get Jeremiah Trotter's son just for the love, just for the good storyline. I mean, and he's also a good player. Trevor Keegan, the guard out of Michigan, they get him in the 5th round. I mean, just pick after pick after pick. I just love that the Eagles said, screw your mock drafts saying that we're going to take Jackson Powers Johnson just because Jason Kelce retired. While everybody ignored that Jason Kelce told the Eagles 2 years ago, or maybe last year, to draft Cam Jurgens because he was the guy that he thought would best replace him. He helped with their evaluation process. They went and took him, and he's just been sitting there on ice waiting to take over for Kelce. Oh, they're going to take a center. No, they didn't take a center. They took a corner. They took 2 corners. Screw you guys and your projections. You don't know what the hell's going on in Howie Roseman's room. And you know what? Howie Roseman commands that room. It's the war room for a reason. He's the general. He's the general of the NFL. So I love their draft.
They just feel like one step ahead of the game at all times.
They're out here playing chess, man. They are really out here playing chess.
Yeah.
One more loser. One more loser
is the Dallas Cowboys. Not because they had a bad draft. Not because they had a quiet offseason after saying they would be all in. And then all in was really, we're saving money to sign guys in the future. It's not because of who they picked in the first round. Tyler Guyton, the tackle from Oklahoma. They need a long-term tackle. They don't know if they want to keep Tyler Smith at guard or tackle. They need options at that position. I thought that was a good pick, but they never got a running back. And I know they signed Zeke Elliott, and that's fine. But like, if you look at their depth chart right now, it's Zeke Elliott, Rico Dowdle, Deuce Vaughn. Then you have Royce Freeman, Snoop Connor, and Malik Davis, Nathaniel Pete. Like, none of those guys. Zeke is not the guy that can carry a backfield like he used to.
He is not.
They're still paying him more off of when they cut him than they're going to pay him on his current contract. Like, it's just not good. It's not good. I felt like they missed an opportunity there with running back. We kept going through every round of the draft, me and my colleagues, and we're like, is this the round that the Cowboys take a running back? Nope. Took someone else. Finished the draft by taking a tackle, edge rusher, guard, linebacker, corner, receiver, another tackle, and a D tackle. Did not take a running back. So that's why they're a loser. Not a bad draft overall, but I just feel like they're a loser there. So that is your rapid fire draft recap from this bald brain.
Well, I think we're missing one thing, though, and that is the team that everyone is talking about the most having them as losers, Nick, that being the Atlanta Falcons. They pick Michael Penix Jr. with the number 8 pick. And a lot of mock drafts had Penix going in the teens, maybe the late first round, but there the Falcons are sitting at number 8. Just signed Kirk Cousins to a $180 million deal, 4-year, $180 million, $100 million guaranteed. Okay? They have Drake London. They have Bijan Robinson. They have Kyle Pitts. They have an offense ready to go. They need help on defense because that defense was not nearly as good as we thought it was going to be last year. Maybe they could get someone to help protect Kirk Cousins, the guy they just spent $180 million on. No, they go and get his backup or his replacement. We don't know. He's 24 years old, and if Kirk Cousins plays out all 4 years of his
and we blush, Sean.
First start in the NFL.
I think we lost you for a second. We'll fix it in post.
What pray tell? Oh no! Where did I freeze?
You said he's 24 years old, and if Kirk Cousins plays out the 4 years of his contract, I assume you said 28 years old.
He'll be 28 years old by the time he gets his first start. Yes. So pray tell, Nick. I don't hate the move of drafting Michael Penix Jr. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's probably one of the more ready quarterbacks to start right now. There's some injury concerns, sure, but he definitely has the talent. I'm just saying, why? Like, I get it. You're trying to do what like Green Bay did. You know, he's going to sit behind Kirk Cousins, and then in a couple of years, we're going to be set. To me, this screams like the Falcons aren't trying to win a Super Bowl. They're just trying to be better than average. They see what the Bucs are doing down here in Tampa Bay, and they're like, well, all we really need to do is win 9 or 10 games to win this division, and I think we can do that. And we don't want to get into a situation anymore where we're relying on, Desmond Ridder.
Peter, will you please go get a job?
Yeah, like what is happening in Atlanta, man? But why?
Look, friend of the show, Carmen Vitale, invited me on her Saturday Fox Sports radio show with Alex Curry to talk about the draft, and we spent the vast majority of the time talking about this. And I was arguing to the death with Carmen, as I'm known to do on the show. Alex got my back. Thank you, Alex. Shout out to Alex. But I don't hate the pick. And I think you just said it, Sean. The reason is this is a team that just spent the last 3 years in quarterback purgatory, if not outright hell. They had Desmond Ridder, and they had Taylor Heineke, and they had Marcus Mariota, and none of them worked out. And why should we be surprised that they said, let's see, Kirk Cousins, we just paid him a lot of money. We want him to be our starting quarterback, but he is also coming off of a torn Achilles. He's also on the north side of 35 years old. We don't know what he's going to look like, whether it's this year or 3 years from now. So why not go take a guy that they fell in love with? The only problem I have with the entire pick is the fact that they didn't notify Kirk that this is even a possibility until they were on the clock, which is just bad business. You should let your high-priced free agent know that, look, we're drafting your replacement, and you're just going to have to be okay with it prior to going into the draft. But again, you got to protect against leaks, so I guess I understand. Penix, you said he's probably one of the most pro-ready quarterbacks. He's played a lot of football in college. He was in college for 6 years. He had multiple injuries in Indiana, never played more than 5 games in a season in Indiana, total 20 games over 4 years in Indiana before he transferred to Washington, where he was able to stay healthy and led them to the college football playoff national title game. He has a live arm, some issues with, against better defenses, but Michigan's defense did that to basically everybody last year. So not too concerned with it. They lit it up with those receivers. There's a big reason why Rome Odunze was a top 10 pick and why Jalen Polk went in the first round. It was because Michael Penix was throwing them the football. I think it's a great pick, and it's going to be a great pick 3 years from now. The only problem is that people don't have patience. Much like people like shiny toys, they don't have patience at quarterback more than anything in the NFL. But I counter with the whole, if you were going to do that, why didn't you go get a bridge quarterback and then eventually move on to Penix with this?
Well, that's not my argument. Sorry, no, that's not my argument.
I know, but I know that's what's coming.
You're paying a guy $100 million guaranteed. Why aren't you trying to win now by giving him more weapons or better protection or better help on defense?
Because they've spent their first round pick on a weapon each of the last 3 years. Drake London, Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts. And they never had the quarterback to maximize that. So they went and signed the quarterback. And then they drafted the quarterback for after the quarterback they assigned. They can get out after 2 years, post June 1st cut, $12.5 million dead cap. That's nothing. You can carry that with nothing. Say Kirk is not the same after the Achilles, because Achilles injuries are pretty significant, especially for a guy at his age. And he's never what you expect him to be. Well, now you have the option to slide in right behind him and move on after a while. You have a quality backup quarterback if he becomes your backup. You have a plan. You didn't have a plan for the post Matt Ryan era, and suddenly you do. If Kirk struggles right out of the gate, guess what? You have a backup. Because if he struggles, he was gonna struggle regardless of whether Penix was there or not. I don't care about he's gonna have Penix breathing down his neck. Be a pro, overcome that, deal with that. This is your job, and don't worry about that stuff. All that stuff is stuff that we talk about because we need to fill airtime, whether it's on TV or on a podcast, whatever. In the written space, you need to fill the space, right? The Falcons don't have to worry about that. They can ride Kirk Cousins until the wheels fall off, and say the wheels fall off in a year or two. They got Michael Penix ready to go right behind him. And I don't care that he's 24 and he's going to be 28 at his first start if Kirk plays out his entire contract, because Kirk Cousins is 36 right now. That's still 8 more years. The rookie contract,
35.
don't care. Well, he'll be 36 soon enough. I was gonna say, I always judge him by how old they are when the season starts, and he'll be 36 when the season starts.
Yeah.
I just don't care. I don't care about any of these issues. You're building for the long term, and yeah, you didn't go get a weapon. You have weapons. You're fine. You got the most important position in quarterback, which is the most important position in sports, locked up for years to come. And the contract thing, you're wasting years of a rookie contract. That doesn't matter if you throw a guy in there and he can't play well either, by the way. Zach Wilson, that rookie contract really mattered a lot to the Jets, didn't it? Don't throw Penix in the fire. Let him spend some time behind Kirk. Play him when he's ready or when they need him to. I think it's a great move.
I'm happy you said that, Nick, because I, like everyone, initially, I was so shocked and I was so surprised and I just didn't get it. I think I just gasped and stared at it. What? I just didn't see that coming whatsoever. And I do like to be a bit of a contrarian, and I did struggle with this a bit, but I've been sitting with it more. And there are moments where I look at the 49ers quarterback situation in the NFC Championship game. And in 2022, Daniel Jones, Tyrod Taylor getting hurt, and then Saquon Barkley is your quarterback. There's so many instances of you might be the backup guy now. Kirk Cousins is just coming off an injury. I know this sounds so obvious, but if there is one position where you want stability and you want a lot of depth, that's where you want it to be. And you're not going to be in any Super Bowl conversations unless you have the quarterback.
Yes.
Unless you're the Denver Broncos with Brock Osweiler, but they were no, it's Peyton Manning. It wasn't Peyton Manning, it was Brock. But it was that defense. But typically outside of that, you have to have the quarterback to be in the conversation. So at least, even if it's not this year, next year, stay in the conversation as he develops. If he doesn't work out, that's fine. Like you said, Nick, Kirk Cousins is coming off an injury. He's 2 months older than me, and I'm old as hell. So I don't know how much longer this guy has left. My back hurts all the time, and I don't play sports.
You're not old.
Yeah.
Because you carry this podcast sometimes.
You're in your prime. Yeah, that is why.
But yeah, their defense does need a lot of help. But then when you look at what weapons they could have got, they do have a lot of weapons that I would like to see with a new coach now. The system could just be so different that I don't know. I'm trying to justify it. Terry Fontenot didn't do himself any favors when he said, if he sits for 4 or 5 years, fans don't want to hear that right now.
Right. No.
He didn't do himself any favors with saying that. Whether it's true or not, I don't agree with him saying that.
That's my point. It's not a win now mentality. And you just said their quarterback is 35 years old. You need to win now.
But you don't, because you have the replacement already. You can win now and in the future. Why not? What did the Packers do? They went and drafted Jordan Love and let him sit for 3 years, and then he was good after half of a season of struggles.
There we go. Yeah.
The Packers situation has given me more hope with it. Because with Jordan Love, I remember just being blown away at that too. And you're right. We can't really grade. Of course, we're going to grade it to fill airtime. We can't grade any of this shit right now. We can in 3-4 years.
God, I love that you said that, because I've been tasked with this all week, and it's such a fruitless exercise because we don't know anything about anybody.
It's worth the conversation. It's fun to talk about. But the reality of it is we haven't seen any of these guys in the NFL, and we don't know how any of them are going to look. Look at a Zach Wilson. We weren't having this conversation right now about Zach Wilson and how big of a bust he was going to be.
Katie, let me ask you this. What's the most important position in sports and in football?
Long snapper.
Hell yeah.
Sean, what's the most important position in football?
Hot dog guy.
She already made the joke. You can't do it again.
Well, too bad. No, Nick, I get it. It's quarterback. I get what they're doing.
Yes,
I don't hate I don't hate picking Michael Penix.
What's the second most important position?
Sean, what's the second most
important position?
Center, left guard,
backup quarterback.
There it is.
It's like the Colts Tom Moore used to say, we don't give our backups reps because if 18 goes down, we're fucked. Like, if Kirk Cousins went down and they didn't have Michael Penix, they'd be right in the same boat they were the last 3 years. What's the problem? I don't see the problem.
Okay. I do agree, Katie, and I was going to end this segment with saying, by the way, we don't know how this is going to go, and we can't really grade it until 3 years from now. So in 3 years from now, when we're on episode 50, we'll grade it then. Let's shift gears over to F1 because
we're moving at a good clip. Come on now.
We have.
We're at 32. Shift gears.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, sometimes it takes us a while. Oh, R.I.P. All right, let's shift gears over to Formula One because we're coming down to Miami. This is when you play Will Smith, Nick, in post. We're coming down to Miami.
That'll get us DMCA'd, so no.
At least like 20 seconds, I think we could do.
No, like 3 seconds, I think is the max.
3 seconds.
Bienvenido
Miami. And that's it, yeah. All right, we're going to Miami. Well, we're not, Nick. Third ever Miami Grand Prix. What are we feeling like? Because there's some intrigue heading into this race. But I just remembered, before we get into the race, I should probably follow the rundown. We do have some breaking news to talk about in the F1 world.
Sean.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it is earth-shattering news if you do follow Formula One. And if you don't, you probably don't even know who this guy is, but you should. He is the deep dark. He is the man behind the scenes pulling the strings. He is... I don't. What would be the football equivalent of Adrian Newey, Nick?
I would say, what are some of the great offensive architects of the last 30 years? The Bill Walsh, maybe, but he was a coach. That dude who is like in advanced analytics for the Patriots, who's kind of a weirdo, that was featured in the Dynasty doc a lot. What's his name? Ernie or something like that. I don't know. He's a savant.
Adrian Newey is leaving Red Bull after this season, and what Adrian Newey is he's a genius. He has made F1. He has made 12 constructor title winning cars since the 90s. He has had stints with Williams, McLaren, Red Bull, and am I missing one? I think those are the only three since the 90s, and he has just delivered masterpiece after masterpiece after masterpiece, to the point where Max Verstappen even has to say, guys, I'm only doing so much. It's the car underneath me. That's Adrian Newey's car. But he's gotten tired of Red Bull. He's gotten tired of the drama. He's gotten tired of the power struggle that's going on at Red Bull. We've covered that in depth in our previous podcast. So now he's on his way out. The team has made it official. Adrian Newey has made it official. He's out after this season. Funny thing is, he is contracted until the end of 2025. And as we all know, working in media, we've been contracted at some point. You can't just leave. You can't just say, all right, peace out, I'm going to go somewhere else. You have a non-compete. You have to wait until your contract runs out. There's a bunch of legality in it. But my point is, everything has a price. There's absolutely a team on the grid right now that can come in, open up their fat checkbooks and say, Red Bull, how much? How much to make that leave of absence go away so we can use him right now? Who do we think that team might be?
Ferrari.
Nailed it. Because it's not Aston Martin.
Why not?
It's already been essentially ruled out. I mean, not officially, but reports have said that Aston's not in play. That leads everybody to think it's Ferrari.
I've already seen a report that said Lawrence Stroll offered him very, very buku bucks to come.
Oh, he absolutely would have. But one of Adrian Newey's homies has been in the reports. His name's been coming up, and apparently Aston Martin is out.
If you're Adrian Newey, I see two possibilities. I see Ferrari, the front runner, and then there have been reports that say Adrian Newey really wants to stay in England. He doesn't want to move. Like wherever he goes, he just wants to stay in England. Well, McLaren is headquartered in England.
Here we go.
And Zach Brown would do a lot to get him back there. So I see Ferrari as the front runner. I absolutely see Ferrari as the front runner because you have Charles Leclerc and you have Lewis Hamilton as your drivers. You could be the guy that gave Lewis his 8th world title. Like you could be that guy. or you could be the guy that delivered Lando Norris or Oscar Piastri there first.
My order is Ferrari, retirement, McLaren.
Oh,
I don't think he's retiring. Yeah. I don't think he's
retiring. I would not rule that out. I would not. The things that I've been reading, the streets have been saying that it is a possibility for him. And he's 65. He's not a super young man. I think that is
retirement age.
It is retirement age. I think it will be Ferrari. I think it's a no-brainer. I think it's a perfect fit. And with Lewis going over there now, like, two of the pinnacles of F1 are Lewis Hamilton and Adrian Newey. But I was reading a quote that he said back in 2013 when he was talking about Ferrari, and he said, I think that being part of Ferrari as an engineer is the same sort of dream as it is for a driver. Unfortunately, it never really came to fruition because he had the option years before that, so before 2013, and it sounds like that was when his kids were quite young and they were still in school, and he didn't want to leave Britain. But now, with Red Bull being such a damn mess, like, I can't wait to talk about them afterwards and how they fumbled that so bad. Because if there are two members of a team, the entire organization that I want to take great care of, it's Max Verstappen and Adrian Newey. Not Helmut, not Christian Horner, not anyone else.
Definitely not Helmut.
No, definitely not Christian.
Not Christian, but why is he still there and everything else is falling apart around him? But yeah, Ferrari to me just makes the most amount of sense. It's the dream that everyone has with F1 is Ferrari, is the red car, which has tiny pathetic speckles of blue on it for this weekend, but we'll get into that.
We'll get into that in a second. I agree with you. I'm just saying that there are teams with extremely deep pockets. This does not have to go against the cost cap. This does not have to go on the books. And
I don't think it's money for him. I don't think he's motivated by money.
It could be money, but it could be other reasons as well. I know he was working on a hypercar with Red Bull. He can do the same at McLaren. He can do the same at Aston Martin. He can do the same with Ferrari. I mean, Ferrari's finally back into, road races with IMSA. So there's always that. I just think we can't count out Aston Martin, Ferrari, or McLaren, or maybe even Mercedes. I mean, they are the most mess of all the teams we just mentioned right now, because they are losing Lewis Hamilton. They are losing their form. But again, they are Mercedes. They'll bounce back at some point. Maybe it's 2026 with a car designed by Adrian Newey.
I would put that below.
I know. I'm putting that last.
Ferrari, retirement, McLaren, other hypercar work, Mercedes. Mercedes is like almost an albatross in F1 right now. Like, it's just kind of the thing that everyone's wearing around their neck and weighing them down, I
don't think retirement is on the table nearly as much as you think it does. But we did mention Ferrari, and Katie, you kind of let the cat out of the bag, or in my case, the garage. More on that later. Ferrari is debuting a new livery this weekend in Miami. It's blue-ish. We were promised a blue car. We were teased with blue overalls and pictures of blue cars Ferrari has raced in the past in Formula One and in hypercars and in road races and stuff like that. And they're like, hey, it's going to be blue. Pictures started surfacing of a blue car. And, well, if you're watching on Twitch, Twitter, or YouTube, this is what we got. It's basically just your normal Ferrari car with some streaks of blue on the side pods, the halo, and the front and back wing.
This is the Ferrari, brought to you by Hewlett-Packard.
Yeah.
We're blue.
How could you tell that HP was a sponsor for this, Nick? It's only on there 145 times.
If only I had two working eyes.
I do have to say, the baby blue overalls that Charles and Carlos are wearing, those are great. If the car was that color, if the car was just dipped in that baby sky blue color, I would love it. But as is it now, this is awful. This is awful.
Yeah, this is bad. I got nothing
good
to say
it's so
about
bad.
this.
Even from up top, it is bad. 0 out of 10. Ferrari, what the hell were you thinking? Real quick, can you pull up?
It looks like a bad dishwasher brand. Like,
yeah,
use the Ferrari Hewlett-Packard power packs to clean your dishes. So all the dirt and grime off your pots and pans will be gone in an instant with the Ferrari Hewlett-Packard power.
Real
pack.
quick, can you pull up the V-carb because their sister team, their baby sister team, they also are going to debut a new livery in Miami. And this one is very in-your-face Miami. I'm cool with that. If you want to add some Miami flair to your cars like teams have done in the past, go for it. I kind of like this one from V-Carb.
I love this one.
Yeah.
I'm fired up about this car.
The Visa Cash App RB Formula One team just coming out with a banger. It's got the purple, the fuchsia, the yellow, the blue that you come to think of when you think about Miami nightlife on Ocean Avenue. It's great. 9 out of 10. I love it. I love the front nose. I love everything about it. It's going to look great in Miami.
You know, we get a lot of races where teams roll out some alternate liveries. The white Red Bull in Japan comes to mind as one of the best ones. But also what comes to mind is what Red Bull tried to do in Miami last year, which is put these colors in like these little twisting lines down the side. It just looked like it was tacked on. And that's kind of what they did at COTA last year, which was stars and stripes just kind of swirling around the car. And it felt like it was tacked on. This is tasteful. This is delicious. I feel like I am on South Beach. I just walked out of the Clevelander. I have a Mai Tai, and I'm just feeling good about being in the sun, and I'm ready to hop in this car and drive down the road.
Yeah, this livery makes me want to party.
Hell yeah, Katie. Scorpio season, even if it's not Scorpio season.
No, this is awesome. This is awesome. I love how, Ferrari messed it up so much, but V-Carb just blew it out of the water. More F1 news to get to. Silly season continues, and we have another signing. This time it's who, Katie?
Nico. No, I can't do it. I was going to try and do the Danny Rick version of
it. Is Nico Hülkenberg.
There it is.
Nico Hülkenberg leaving Haas. Sorry. It's my American English.
-1. -1.
Leaving Haas at the end of the season, and he's moving over to Kick Sauber F1 stake team, which is going to be Audi in 2026. So Nico sticking around F1. I love to see it, guys, because he made a name for himself by becoming the driver who had started the most races ever and never finishing on the podium. He continues that with every race, but people really don't talk about it anymore because they don't expect him. He's not in a car that can be on the podium. But he's really having a solid season. I mean, he is really handling his teammate, Kevin Magnussen, unfortunately for him. But he has really put himself up there and said, hey, I can still do this, guys. And so Sauber is going to reward him and bring him on in. That means either Zhou Guanyu or Valtteri Bottas is out of a seat next year. But I'd like this signing. I think this is a good one, especially if he's going to stay with the team past its Audi introduction.
I hate to say it, but it's probably Joe. Maybe it's because I'm partial to Valtteri because of his nude sauna trips and his nude cover photos, and
because of all the nudity.
The nudity, really, just the big fan of nudity over here.
Well, it's funny you should mention that, Nick, because what I'm hearing is Valtteri is not going to be there next year. I think Valtteri. And I said this a couple of podcasts ago when we started talking about silly season. I think Valtteri is going back to his old team in Mercedes.
Oh,
because from what I'm hearing and reading, it's not going to be too long until Logan Sargent is out of a seat. In fact, if he wasn't going to his literal hometown this week, he probably already would. That's going to open up a seat at Williams mid-season. Mercedes has always had a good relationship with Williams. James Vowles used to work at Mercedes. George Russell used to race for Williams. They have this program where they're just sharing stuff back and forth. And they need a seat for Kimi Antonelli because he needs to come into the sport sooner rather than later. So you plug your junior driver into Williams, and he races there for the rest of this season and next season. And all you need is a stopgap next year, someone to pair with George Russell. They might not have got along well on the track in their brief stint as drivers against one another. But I think Valtteri, he knows the team. He has 10 race wins there. He could slide in really well next to George and be a stopgap for Mercedes.
Oh, I love Katie's reaction there. I wish I could get Katie to do that all the time.
I forgot about.
They did crash.
I forgot about the crash and then what they called each other
on the wet grass
language.
And he went over and talked shit over the halo to him on the side. Oh, Emily
flicked him off.
I forgot about that. What a gift that would be. That's giving like Pierre and Esteban like kind of history where you're like, I kind of just want to see how this goes. I think these two are a little different, but that was a pretty spicy moment. And just the whole season.
Yeah,
it was. But I think that's does that scenario seem too far fetched?
No, actually, I'm glad you laid it out that way. You did a great job of connecting all the dots. The Pepe Sylvia board, you put it all together.
Thank you.
And
I got it.
It was a great job out of you, really.
I got it. I like Nico Hülkenberg to Sauber to Audi, whatever you want to call it. I think it's still going to be Sauber next year than Audi in 2026. But that's a good signing. Silly season's only going to get more sillier from here on out, so that should be fun.
Can I say something, Sean?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been like a month and a half, and I'm still not used to seeing Lewis Hamilton pictured in Ferrari red. Like,
it's going to be awkward.
It's going to take so long for me to get used to that. Like, I see the graphic where it's like, this is next year's driver lineup, and there's Lewis and Ferrari and Charles and Ferrari, and I'm just like, it just feels so
he does
weird.
rock it.
Need to take a shower. Ugh.
I'm settling in with it beautifully.
Yeah, Katie loves
it.
You
are. I'm sure you are.
In her bedroom
Some of us are doing just fine with it.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. I'm sure you're enjoying it very much.
But you're right, Sean. Like, I think Nico is like driving the absolute balls off that tractor of a car. Like, it's not
okay.
good.
It's not that bad. It's better than 3 or 4 cars on the grid right now.
It's not great.
No, it's not great, but no one was expecting great.
Part of why they're doing well, like the difference to K-Mag is pretty intense.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see, and just like the whole regulation change in general, I'm just so hyped on because everything we know about F1 could just go out the window.
We said that last time, and it kind of did, but the top teams stayed the top teams.
Yeah. I'm just glad Katie gets to pronounce her A's when she says K-Mag. K-Mag.
K-Mag. All right, guys, let's head to Miami. It's the race we all know and love.
In spirit.
As always, I like to tell the story. Nick and I, we got to go to the inaugural Miami Grand Prix 2 years ago. It was a blast. We shall return at some point, just not this year. Or will I? Never know. It's only a 4-hour drive from me. I could do it.
I don't know why you wouldn't.
Could do it.
Yeah, I'd go. If I were you, I'd definitely go.
It's expensive, and I've got expenses. I'm moving soon, and
adult life.
Good time, guys. Yeah, don't tell me with a good time. Because I'll do it. I would do it.
I'm known to do that.
So do it. I would so do it.
I'm gonna keep peer pressuring you through these.
Please do. Days. Actually,
yeah, I will.
Sean, go.
Okay. Thanks. Go. Should we go right into podium predictions, or do we have anything else to say about this race besides it hasn't been very good in the past, and it's one of the more awkward races of the year because they really try and be overtly Miami when it comes to this. And in Austin, they do it like they're very overtly like, yeehaw, this is America. But it kind of works because you're like, it's Texas and this is
America.
The US. It's Danny Rick showing up in the Fu Manchu in a Texas Longhorns jersey. It's Shaq in the back of a lowrider delivering the trophy to the podium. Like, it is funny. And then Vegas, I mean, that's its own thing all its own. But like, I don't know. I feel like, Nick, when we were there, they made, the drivers on the podium wear football helmets, Pirelli football helmets.
They did.
It was so awkward.
Oh
I'm 12 Heinekens deep, and I look up and I was like, is Max wearing a football helmet right now?
Max and Carlos are wearing Pirelli football helmets, which I thought was actually kind of fun because like they have changed the hats up in the past. Like in Austin, they've had cowboy hats, and it's funny to do that. But the football helmet was kind of like, okay, that's a bit awkward. And then last year there were the driver intros with will.i.am and LL Cool J. I mean, I guess Mr. 305 wasn't available. Like,
hailing from the Netherlands.
Yeah, it was very
Dutchman.
awkward. It's an awkward race, and the drivers have said they really don't like it. But at the same time, this is what you pay for. This is what you sign up for too.
It's also awkward because they try to manufacture a street circuit out of a parking lot. They even made a fake marina. Sean, you and I touched.
That's also we touched the water. Yes, we touched the water. The fake.
That was
water.
my favorite part.
Yeah.
Is the pretend water.
In my life, I touched water and it was not wet or cold. It just was solid. It was very confusing.
We may be able to knock it, but like it is. But that's the thing. Like, I feel like that is Miami because it is such a fake city. I make no problems about this. I don't like Miami. Like,
I love Miami, but it's very much a show city.
I do not like Miami. I have never. Very few times have I been there and like enjoyed myself. Actually, coincidentally, most of them have been with you, Nick.
Like I said, I've been known to have a good time and make a good time.
He is a selective Florida man.
Exactly.
It's not universally love Florida.
On this coast because I don't have to deal with that coast. But I don't know. Miami is very fake. You go there once and you can smell it. You can tell right away that it is just a completely for-show city. So I feel like the Grand Prix kind of reflects that to a certain degree, not on purpose, just it kind of happened that way because everything else in the city is fake anyway.
Okay, so two things. One, I very, very much enjoyed my stay in Miami for the Super Bowl, and I had a great time on South Beach at the Mondrian, and it was fantastic. I wouldn't trade it for the world. Sean
I was in a La Quinta Inn in Sunrise.
No, Sean stayed there one night. It was nice, and I went and got myself a nice little breakfast down the street every day, and got me some coffee. It was great. Was it Cafe de Leche or whatever the hell it's called? But you're right. Miami is very much a for-show town. People will rent exotic supercars there for show. And this race is very much for show. It was funny. I saw one of these F1 accounts today post they posted 3 races, and it was like F, marry, kill, except it was keep, modify, and scrap. And the 3 races was Miami, Monaco, and Australia, I think. And everyone universally was like, scrap Miami.
Yeah.
Even the layout's not good.
Even of the 3 races in the US now, it's the lesser of the 3 because we were making fun of Vegas last year. We were even saying this probably shouldn't take place, and it delivered one of the best races of the season.
So good.
It was so good.
And I didn't want it
usually, to be. I know. Austin also usually produces a banger. So Vegas and Austin's like, okay, we got some certified bangers on our hands here. Then we look over at Miami like it's the redheaded stepchild of the U.S.
But it's fun.
It's like that. It's like that one meme of the three-headed dragon, and the two dragons are like looking menacing, and then there's the one looking over at the stupid third one like exactly.
The one that stuck with me the most of that meme, the version was Green Bay, where it was like offense, defense, then special teams was the middle one.
Can you find the meme and bring it up on screen?
Sure. Go ahead, Katie.
I've talked about it before that as soon as Vegas exists and like they're locked in for a contract, they'll be around. I just don't see the need for Miami anymore. Like COTA has its place. I think that should always be there. I think that's a great track. But with Vegas now because the first Miami race, it was all the celebrity and everyone who's anyone was there.
There it is. Austin, Vegas, Miami.
Exactly. But now Vegas is like the epitome of celebrity relative to Miami, I think. Like as long as Vegas exists, I just don't really see the need for Miami. And the track isn't great. Like if the track is awesome, then it helps redeem itself. And it's a sprint race. I hate sprint races.
To make things worse, we have a sprint race this weekend.
Can we talk about sprint races after?
I like the sprint race.
I don't.
I
like more racing.
It's something else that I have to pay attention to, and I really don't like it. That being said, I hope we get a good race this year. I don't think we will, just because this track hasn't produced them in the past. So let's go into some podium predictions, guys.
All right,
Katie,
take it away.
Start off? Tell you what, we will go in reverse order of the fantasy standings. So Katie, go first with 89 points. You are in dead last in our fantasy standings.
Whoa, Jesus.
Go ahead, Katie.
Hatching strays out here. So on the I get why we do podium predictions, but as long as Max Verstappen is in the form that he is right now, it does feel a bit pointless. P1, Max Verstappen. It just feels so automatic.
I mean, we could start doing 2, 3, 4.
I enjoyed that so much. That was so good.
We're still doing it.
Max Verstappen.
Which is
Monday,
why this is
high of 72 and partly cloudy.
That's why they're so funny right now, is because like they're so automatic that unless something goes critically wrong, Max car blows up, he is going to be P1. That's why it's so wild. The whole Adrian Newey situation, it still blows my mind. But anyways, P1 Max, P2 Carlos. I am just on that Carlos train right now. And then P3, I have Oscar Piastri. I think McLaren will do well at this track, and I just think it's time for Oscar. This feels like a good weekend for him. But then who knows? Maybe he'll just win the sprint and it won't matter again because the sprint doesn't matter.
I thought you loved the sprint. Nick loves the sprint.
Was it obvious?
Nick, go ahead. With 93 points, second place in our fantasy standings, Nick Shook, who does not have his picks in the rundown. But go ahead, Nick. Your podium prediction.
It's all about the element of surprise, my friend. P1, Max Verstappen, per usual. P2, I'm the biggest champion of Carlos Sainz here. I will fight you over that, Katie. But last race, got a little concerned. Charles is starting to turn the corner, so I'm going to go Charles Leclerc, P2. And P3, we're going to go Sergio Perez. That's going to be your top 3. I feel bad about that one. Don't feel confident at all. But that's the way we're going to go. Before we get to your podium prediction, Sean, we need to catch up on some comments here.
Oh, boy.
Because our friend Lemon Bendy has gotten into the chat. And he said, first off, don't let them peer pressure you, which, sorry, Lemon Bendy, we love you, but we're going to peer pressure the hell out of him. And he's going to
because we care. We want him to have this experience.
Yes,
he wants it. He just needs a little push.
Yeah, just a little nudge.
A little medium push.
Guys, I really don't need the peer pressure to just uproot my life on Sunday morning and drive down to Miami with my girlfriend to go see this race. We really can't do it. We can't do it, guys. We just can't do it.
Go.
Wink.
Also, Lemon Benny wanted to know, and I'm going to bring it back up just for the visual effect for those of you watching on Twitch, YouTube, or Twitter. He said, which of you 3 is the third dragon in this meme?
It's definitely me.
Okay, I didn't want to be mean, but it's
wow.
It's Katie. I feel like I'm the mean-looking dragon.
I'm the one in the middle,
and Nick is the one in the middle, kind of keeping an eye on both of us.
Yeah, and I'm really just like got my eyes on Katie. Like, hey, everything cool over there?
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's Katie. Katie.
No, that was one of those things where it's only okay when I say it.
Hey, goofball, you doing all right over there?
It really is. It really is.
So there's your answer.
I didn't want to be mean also at first. I'm so happy you said that.
We got one more from Kumi. He said, "Looks like Sean didn't get the cutoff memo. Tragic."
Oh yeah, both Nick and I were cutoffs.
Sun's out, guns out, baby. Even though it's midnight.
Hell yeah, brother.
Okay, sorry.
No, I thought I was gonna remove that, and Sean would be like shirtless or something.
I got the TV going tonight.
After dark.
After dark.
Got the baseball jersey on tonight.
Oh, yeah,
all right. And then, hey, leading the pack in the fantasy standings is me with 103 points. 10 points clear of the field. Of course, I got Max in first. And then P2 and P3, I'm going with the McLaren boys because they were arguably the second best car in China. You just had some damage on Oscar's car, courtesy of Lance Stroll. And that's why he couldn't catch up to Carlos there in P5. So the McLarens should have finished off the Ferraris last week or 2 weeks ago. But they are bringing upgrades to Miami, their first upgrade package of the season. McLaren have done terrible in Miami the last 2 years out because, well, they started the year terrible. They haven't had this good of a start in about a decade. So that, coupled with the fact that they're bringing upgrades to Miami, I'm going with Max in P1, but then Lando and Oscar in P2. I think it's going to be a good day for McLaren because this track, it's not good, but it is very similar to China. It is very similar to what we just saw, and McLaren was good there. So I expect them to be again. So I'll go Red Bull, McLaren.
I like it. It makes me feel insecure about my own picks, but they're already on the board, and you can't change them because we wrote it in Sharpie.
Final segment of the evening, guys, or morning. Yeah, it's morning now officially. Hated it or love it? Who wants to start with their hate? Katie. Katie.
I'd like to ask him to chime in again and say, who do you think we are of the 3 dragons?
Yeah, actually. Kumi, which one do you think?
No, it was Lemon Bendy.
Yeah.
Oh, it was Lemon Bendy. I'm sorry.
You let us know. So my hate this week, there are 2 NHL teams in this world that I care about and I'm deeply connected to, and they're the Vancouver Canucks and the Nashville Predators. and they are playing each other in the first round of the playoffs, which is my goddamn nightmare. So every time somebody scores, I'm like, yeah, no, I almost struggle to watch it. But I worked for the Preds for a while in Nashville, grew up a huge Canucks fan, and then I covered the Canucks from Vancouver after the Preds. So I'm leaning Canucks a little bit, but every single thing that happens hurts me when I watch it. Like, I just need the series to end, and then whatever team comes out, I'll be cheering for them. I think it'll be the Canucks, but they've kind of looked awful, and all of their goalies are hurt.
I was going to say, every single thing doesn't just hurt you, it hurts your goalies.
And yet she continues to watch.
Who was the goalie you just had? Was he from Latvia? Yeah, he was good, actually. He's
very good.
Yeah, he's very good. I would keep him.
He's only seen playing time in, I think, 10 NHL games.
I would keep him in there over Casey DeSmith for sure.
Why? Do you have any feelings against Casey DeSmith, Sean?
I just don't think he's a good playoff goalie. I just don't think he's
Well, you know who is a good playoff goalie? Thatcher Demko, who we're also without.
So. Well, he's a Vezina Trophy finalist, so I would hope so. Nick, what's your name?
That series is just a whole lot of pain for me. Like, the games have been painful to watch. The Canucks got like 11 shots one night and won, and I hated every second of the game. But I'm also loving it because the Canucks, we haven't been here in like 9 years as fans. So it feels kind of fun to be like a jaded Canucks fan that's temporarily hopeful, knowing it'll all be ripped away soon.
Katie, I love that Vancouver is the only Canadian city with a playoff team right now that is not having outdoor watch parties. And when asked about it, they literally said, because we riot too much. They literally said, we need to look in the mirror. We cannot be trusted to host outdoor parties.
At least we're self-aware.
Yeah, that's a level of self-awareness.
That's the key part.
Yeah. They say you're
Nick, your hate?
My hate is that the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to need at least 6 games to win their first round of the NBA playoffs. Yeah. But I also love that I get to shove it up your friend's face. Well, in his face, not up his face.
Up his face.
Walking a line there.
Right up there.
Kenny, Nick is going to shove it up your face.
Shove it up here. Take that face. That he said Magic in 6 after they won their 2 games in Orlando. Could you be so foolish? Did you see your team play in Cleveland the first 2 games? Do you understand home court advantage? Obviously you do. You just won 2 games in Orlando. It's going to go 7. You're going to lose in Cleveland. Enjoy, Kenny. That first round exit coming around the corner. And I say that with very little confidence because my basketball team lacks heart. I hate the fact that we're still talking about this because they should be on to round 2 where they're going to get waxed by the Boston Celtics. That's my hate.
I hate that for you.
I hate that for you too.
I hate a lot of things for me right now.
That's okay.
We're all doing our best, aren't we?
We're all doing our best.
My hate, I've got cats in my garage.
Ooh, cats.
A couple weeks ago, my brother decided to
mute my mic for a second.
Pseudo adopt a feral cat. There's lots of feral cats in Tampa. They're not a problem because they eat the bugs, they eat the lizards. They perform a service basically, and there's thousands of them all over the city, and there's a bunch of them in my neighborhood. And my brother decided to kind of pseudo adopt one, and so, all right, it's been staying in the garage. We leave it food, it drinks the water out of his pond, out back, and it's fine. It pisses off my dog every once in a while, but it's whatever. Until tonight, when I discovered that the cat that I named George, it's actually Georgina, and Georgina had twins.
Georgette.
So there's now 3 cats in my garage. And as I record this, my brother doesn't know because he's out of town at the moment. So I'm going to call him tomorrow and go, "Congrats, Grandpa." Kind of need to figure out what we're doing here because
no, you don't. You're moving soon.
There's a
not like an issue, not an issue.
6 weeks. In 6 weeks, but there is a very hungry German Shepherd in this house that would not hesitate, and there's also other animals out there. So gotta figure out what to do with the cats. They are adorable. I will say that they are adorable, but I just gotta kind of figure out what to do here.
Sean, I'll be honest, I knew this was coming, and it still just crushed me when you.
I got cats in my garage, guys.
Cats in my
Please
garage
help.
right now, guys.
Katie,
they are adorable, though.
Sounds like an issue and not an ish meat. What? Oh, that was great. That was fantastic.
It gets you out of almost every situation.
Yeah. Jesus, I'm going to use that.
I've actually never heard that before. I'm going to definitely use that. That's way better than that sounds like a you problem. That sounds like an issue, not an issue.
Sounds like an issue, not an issue me. That's great.
Pay it forward, friends.
Nick, what's your love?
No, it's Katie's love.
I know, we're going reverse now. What's your love?
No, snake draft. I don't have a love.
Sorry, I laughed at that.
I love that.
I don't have a love.
I don't.
Said that.
I don't. The draft's over. Hooray! It's May. Oh, no, I can't talk about that. That's under embargo until the end of the month. So, yeah, never mind. No love.
Oh, I love that you have something that's embargoed. Sounds like it's fun.
Well, when you're a league employee, every once in a while you run into some embargoes. Used to get a lot more, but now they don't trust us with anything because everything gets leaked. But yeah, no love. Katie, what's your love? Get me off
snake
this
draft. So
podium.
Sean.
I guess I should have. I guess
save our best for last.
I'm gonna use this moment to brag a little bit. I love Tampa Bay. I have called it home the last 2 years. What's up?
It hates Miami.
I hate Miami, which is why I don't live there, but I do love Tampa Bay. And for the last 2 years, I've called the area home, and I'm proud to announce that I'm going to call it home for another 2 years. I just signed a brand new contract with the station. Yeah, I did. And I'm going to stay here, going to stay put. Obviously, it was a foregone conclusion because I already signed a lease, so I was hoping I was staying. But yeah, no, it's been great working here, getting to know people, telling their stories. I've loved covering the teams, whether it be high school, college, pro, doesn't matter. I enjoy every story I tell, and I'm really proud to stay here, kind of, hopefully make it a home, and we'll see how long I last here. But I really enjoyed here, so I'm happy to stay.
This special occasion calls for something we've done on this show before. I'm going to do it again right now.
I am Florida man. I am Florida man. I am Florida man. I am Florida man. I am Florida man.
And one more of these as well.
My two favorite drops.
Katie, what's your love?
If I didn't have a firm, solid love, my love would be, I love that for you, Sean. I'm really happy for you, and I'm very proud of you. I didn't know that, and I'm super stoked. My alternate love this week, guys, I'm going to my first ever WNBA game this weekend. So I'm driving 7 hours for the weekend, even though Sean would only have to drive 4 to Miami. But I'm going to Edmonton for the weekend for the preseason game, and I'm.
I was about to say, did Edmonton get a WNBA game?
No, it's the WNBA Canada game, which is always super hype because there's such a want and a need here for WNBA. I'm guessing it'll be Toronto when there's an expansion team in Canada, but
it seems like the WNBA is at the point where it needs to expand.
Oh, it definitely does, and it will be and is. But yeah, right now there is no Canadian team, but they do a Canada game, and man, it just looks so hype, and I'm so excited. And
Who's
it was
playing?
kind of a last minute. It is LA and Seattle.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm like right on the floor. We're like fully doing it. I'm making a whole weekend out of it. Driving to Edmonton, Alberta for the weekend, you guys.
Well,
damn it, I really should go to Miami. Not to make that about me, I'm sorry, but damn
I made it about you. Yours is only a 4-hour trip.
I love that for you.
Yeah.
Truly.
Thanks. And I love that for Sean, that we both have a huge weekend coming up.
Or do we? I'm going to a baseball game on Friday where I don't know if you guys saw the Rays debuted their City Connect uniforms, and I'm going.
They're fire.
To see the debut.
Oh, they are
literally fire. They are literally fire.
Yeah. Gas.
Here's the funny thing too. I went to the reveal on Monday. That was my story, and I did not expect those at all. I had heard that they were going to be pink, because there's a very famous hotel in Tampa Bay called the Don Cesar, and I was told that it was going to be that shade of pink that's like unmistakable. Like once you see it, you're like, that's Don Cesar, with like blue accents, and it was going to kind of look beachy and seashell-y, like very Tampa. And I'm like, oh, that's going to look. I think they can pull that off. I think they can make that look really good. And then when they pulled out, like, hey, did you know that St. Petersburg, Florida, is the East Coast skateboarding capital of the country? No, I didn't. Well, you do now. Here's a logo of a Stingray skateboarding. Sold.
That's
freaking
so
sold. I don't get a second love, but that's my second love. The Rays City Connect jerseys.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
That's a good one.
All right, guys. I'm glad we pulled this one out tonight. I know we were debating whether or not we were going to do this podcast. But
there were some near misses.
There were some near misses. But I'm glad we did this. I'm glad we did this. And Nick, option 1 is still on the table, but let's not forget about option 3 too. We can afford a plane ticket or make a bus ticket for Clark. This has been episode 32 of the Gridiron Podcast. For Nick Shook and Katie Caldwell, I'm Sean Barie. And as always, folks, make sure to live life in the fast lane.
Oh, I got nothing for that. Bye. Good night, Canada.